Week 2 is upon us. Nate over here, Dustin over here. Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. This is our Week 2 Fantasy Fix show. As always, if you got any questions, post them in the forums. We have an army of experts in there on our site that'll get in there, answer all your questions for you. We see a lot of people posting them on YouTube. You know, that's fine if you want YouTube answers, but we're on the forums.
Go to Fantasy Smack Talk, click on forums, post them in there. Our expert or
nice
us,
and neat in one
we answer them
area.
there.
Just
Can't
makes
answer
it
them
easier.
everywhere.
Makes it easier.
All right, so again, FanDuel, we got a partnership. So go to FanDuel when you sign up. Make sure you put the promo code FST2013. You get an FST T-shirt sent to you from Dustin Barkley.
That's right.
All right, Dustin, quick tip.
Quick tip. So week 1 is over, and it was one of the craziest week 1s I think I've ever seen when it comes to fantasy. Like I was saying on the waiver wire show, there's now even more questions than there were before week 1. And week 1's supposed to answer a lot of those questions. So the thing is, if you have those Giovanni Bernards, the David Wilsons, the Lamar Millers, you know, Monte Balls, don't panic with those guys. I mean, you drafted them because you thought they were good. At least give them a few weeks and see what they do before you sell low on them.
And with that said, the counter argument is take advantage of this. I mean, as a prime example, I'm in a league where the guy had Zach Sudfeld as his tight end. He had Lamar Miller. I had Owen Daniels and Jordan Cameron. I thought, you know what? I sent him Owen Daniels for Lamar Miller. See if I can buy him real cheap right now. Hopefully he's not watching the video. And we'll see what happens. But I think that'd be a steal of a deal for me. So take advantage. All right, let's be answering some of those forum questions. So again, if you log in Fantasy Smack Talk, click on forums, ask questions. We will answer them there, or we might even read them on the show. The first one comes from Mr. Giblets. Mick Giblets wants to know who to be starting in the flex, and that's Jordy Nelson versus the Washington Redskins. And 63% says of the community says they should be starting Nelson over Chris Johnson at Houston. Do you agree with the 67%?
I actually do. I mean, this one is hard. You know, normally in your flex spot, you know, you want to be real careful with starting a receiver over a running back, especially one that's good as Chris Johnson. But Chris Johnson, not the best matchup in the world against Houston. And Washington's defense, I think, is pretty bad. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to make that defense look like a high school team. I think there'll be plenty of yards to go around. Cobb's going to have a big game. Finley might even get in the mix. And Nelson, yes, also will get in the mix as well. So I'm going Nelson. I think it's another big game. All right, we got a wide receiver question from Tyron to win one. Bolden at Seattle, Garcon at Green Bay, or Stevie Johnson versus Carolina. Right now, the community is going with the hot hand with Bolden at 60%.
Yeah, and you know, it's after the game that he had, it's hard to argue why you would be thinking that. But I'm going to argue it. I'm going to go with Pierre Garcon out of this bunch. You know, Bolden's going up against those tough corners of Seattle, and I think all of these guys are really close. But like Dustin said, I think it's going to be shootout for the Green Bay Skins game. And a little sneaky tip that I do is Vegas, house always wins. So I like to look at over-under sometimes when I'm looking at close. Over-under on the Green Bay Redskins game is 49.5 compared to 44 for the Seattle 49ers game, and then 43 only for the Carolina Bills game. That means Vegas thinks there's going to be a lot of points in that game. I think there's going to be a lot of points. I think that the Redskins will be playing catch-up, throwing the ball a lot. I think Garcon can get a chunk time touchdown, but I think Green Bay is going to kill him as well. All right, Dustin, the next one's coming from, sorry Redskin fans out there, I know it was an ugly first half. Comes from Steelers fan 2000. He wants to know which
20,000.
What's that?
Steelers fan 20,000.
Whoa, he loves them. 20,000. And he wants to know Colston at Tampa Bay or Tavon Austin at Atlanta. Big win for Colston right now, 74%.
It's just really tough. I mean, Austin, you know, had some flashes week 1. He definitely, you know, got some targets, had some catches, but I just don't know if you can quite start him over Colston just yet. I mean, I just can't quite do it. Colston's too proven. I know Austin's kind of the new shiny toy, and you want to put him in your lineup and see what he can do, but until he really proves it, you can't bench him over guys like Colston.
I mean, sure, could Austin have a better game? Sure, but come on, you got to start Colston out of this bunch.
That's how I'm feeling in my mind. So let's get into those duds and sleepers and deep sleepers. My dud, now, we're really going out on a limb on this one, but Eddie Royal, and here's why I wanted to bring up Eddie Royal.
I fought him at first, but this is what.
Just don't, I see it a lot of times where especially newer fantasy owners, newer people to fantasy, they will read too much into week 1 and then instantly adjust their week 2 setup based off of what happened week 1 solely. And I've already gotten questions about Eddie Royal. Should I start him over this guy? He had 2 touchdowns last week. He's had 12 touchdowns in his 6-year career. So I think it's safe to say that was somewhat of a fluke. Could he have another decent game? Yeah, don't necessarily drop him, but keep him on your bench. Don't be starting him over any guys like Mike Wallace or Cecil Shorts or anything like that. Eddie Royal, that's why he's my dud. Just because.
And again, that's more for the novice. Don't be like, no kidding. It's for guys like Donger out there. You're more.
Yeah, Donger. There's one for you. My sleeper, Cecil Shorts, going up against Oakland. I think Gabbert being hurt out there is the best thing that could have happened for Shorts. Gabbert's just not that good of an actual quarterback. I think Henny's going to do a much better job of getting Shorts involved. I love Shorts this week against Oakland. And my deep sleeper is Andre Roberts against Detroit. I do like Michael Floyd as well, but I think Roberts might emerge as the number 2 guy out there as far as fantasy value goes. I don't mind his matchup against Detroit. And if you're playing FanDuel leagues, he's only $5,100, which I think is a decent deal.
Yeah, it's a steal. All right, my dud, and easy there, easy, is going to be Michael Vick. Easy there. And here's the reason why. First of all, I loved watching that Monday night game. The Chip Kelly offense that we were talking about all preseason was pretty cool to watch, I'm not going to lie. It looked like a video game right up to the line. But with that said, the fact the Redskins turned the ball over, basically the first 3 possessions, is half the reason that offense looked so great. No matter what offense it was, it would have been gas. I just don't think Vick, and this is the reason he's a dud, because we're seeing, should we start him over Kaepernick? Should we start him over Matt Ryan? There's even, over like a Peyton Manning. I don't think there was a Peyton Manning, but if you're thinking of anything crazy like that, don't do it. I'm still putting him just outside of the top 10 for this week. I need to see it one more week before I can say he's a guaranteed lock top 10 guy. My sleeper, oh man, do I love this guy. I love him. Terrell Pryor. Got him in the 2 QB league. I am benching Big Ben gladly for him in our 2 QB league. Putting in Terrell Pryor. Here's the stats. 112 rushing yards last week. 217 passing and a passing touchdown. Not really that great numbers overall, but fantasy-wise, those are amazing. And then if you look at the last game he started last year, 50 rushing yards plus a rushing touchdown. Only passed for $150, but 2 touchdowns. It's like a Tim Tebow. He's not really going to be that good in real life, but he's going to put up the fantasy numbers. I love him. He's my new Tim Tebow. Pryor. I can't wait to watch the Oakland game. That's why I love fantasy. And then my deep sleeper is going to be Tyler Eifert. Playing against the Steelers, he had a pretty good game. 5 catches for 47 yards. He was on the field a ton, though. He was playing. They did a ton of 2 tight end sets. I think that this might be the week that he finds his first NFL touchdown.
Oh, man. Mike's picks, let's get into his dud. Big Ben. They looked awful. Oh. And now they lose Pouncey. I mean, that offensive line went from worse to worser. It's a good word.
English.
Yeah. And Big Ben is just, he lost one of his best targets with Mike Wallace. That offense just looks terrible right now.
Can't run the ball.
Stay away from Big Ben if you can. His sleepers, Bilal Powell. Not a bad game for him last week. Going up against New England this week on Thursday night. He actually got involved in the passing game. You like to think that they're going to be playing from behind. So look for Powell to maybe get involved in the passing game again.
Unless you're a Jets fan, you don't want to think that.
Well, but they probably will be.
They probably.
But Mike thinks it could be an emergency flex spot in a PPR league if you're desperate. And then his deep sleeper is Kenny Stills. The rookie for New Orleans. This guy's getting a lot of hype. A lot of people are falling in love with this guy. Personally, I think he's a little too risky just because of the inconsistency, but I think the potential's certainly there on that high-powered offense, obviously.
He's Devery Henderson. He's Mitchell.
He's a big play guy, so they'll be looking for him down the field.
So that's it. Again, ask those questions in the forums. We got the rankings up. I was going through Terrell Pryor, moving up those quarterback rankings. Can't wait. Go ahead, log on to the site, check that all out. Follow us on Twitter @FantasyAdvice. Dustin, give him a pen flip. And that's it, my friends. Good luck this week. 2 pen flips.